These instructions are for Word Module 1, SAM End of Module Project 2. It's a graded assignment. I will not go through all of the steps with you, but I will show you how you download the file, how you download the instructions and or any start file. And I'll show you some of the things you do in order to work the project, but I'm not going to finish it because this is a graded assignment. I will show you how to upload it for grading and looking at the reports just like we did in the practice lesson for Word Module 1. So just bear with me and we'll get you going on the actual assignment for Word Module 1 that counts for a grade. I'm going to use my CIT 105 Introduction to Computers B502 section in this demonstration. Obviously we need to go to course content. We will scroll down till we get to assignments and we'll go down to Word, and there's the activity listing for reading and assignments that need to be done. And then you'll notice that you read your chapter, you do your training. I have demonstrated videos that will be posted for the textbook project, and right now I'm going to show you the basics of getting started and then also what to do when you're ready to submit. So we'll click on that and launch it. And I want you to see that in this details here that we have available to us, it says complete the project assignment, read each step completely before attempting it. Some steps do have multiple instructions. Maximum number of submissions is 3. Number of missions that we have, since we haven't done anything yet, is 3. And we click start to begin the assignment. So you do have 3 attempts to get the best grade you can on each of the project assignments. Just make sure that, you know, if you didn't make a satisfactory grade for yourself, that you need to come back and do it again. Now, for some reason it's popped into step 2 instead of step 1, so I'll go back a little bit here. And you have the instruction file that you need to download. That will be in Word. And then in this case there's not a support file, but there is a start file. This is a little bit easier to do than the lessons in the textbook, the tutorial practice sessions I call them. First and foremost, let's get the instruction file downloaded. We need to tell it where we want to save it. And I'm going to put it in my Word folder on my flash drive, CIT 105, and I had created a Word folder before, so it's pointing to the correct location. I'm just going to leave the instruction name just like it is and save it. Now, I typically will open up the instructions. Those should be in Word. And if there's a lot of things to try to check off here, I oftentimes will print it so that I can have it right there next to me. So I'm going to go ahead and tell this to print, and I'll go get it off the printer shortly. So we're going to let that print for me. Now I'm going to minimize this screen down with the Word instructions and go get my start file. Notice that it ends in a 1, ignoring the file extension that you see. When you click on continue, you'll notice the only difference between the file name start file and the expected file name is that the 1 at the end of the name is changed to a 2. So clicking on the back button, I'm going to click on the start file. It should be navigating into where I want to place it. The only difference is I click in the file name part or text box, backspace off the 1, type the 2, and I save it. This is a whole lot easier than the instructions where they have you go ahead and download it and work with it. Well, it's got a number 1 on it, but then you got to remember to rename it before you can upload it. I just think it's easier to follow my instructions. I am going to go ahead and click on the continue button because this is where we will come back when we're ready to upload the file. Okay, I have retrieved my printout of these instructions. I will go ahead and enlarge this as big as I can so it's easy for you guys to see. Notice then they're getting started. They have you open your file that has the 1 at the end of it. Then when you're in Word, in this case, we're working with Word, you would do the save file. So do save file as and change the name by changing the 1 to a 2. Don't type the .docx file extension. If you don't see it, don't type it. Because otherwise you'll wind up with a file name that has .docx at the end of it, and it won't match the file name that's expected. So I think if I do it my way, it's a whole lot easier. Now I do want to show you in these steps, I'm going to scroll past all the steps, they show you the final figure. So they show what it should look like when you get everything on one page, you got your border, you've adjusted the way these images are next to each other, you have fixed some of the center text in this flyer, and you do have a multi-level numbered list. So that's a little different than what we learned in the textbook project itself, but it's all doable. So you can compare your result to that before you submit it. Now going up to the top here, and I'll be dragging opening up my start file and my other file as we go back and forth. I have opened up my actual document, and one of the first things they tell you to do is go down and look to see if the footer of this file created specifically for your name, first and last, appears. And even though it's not supposed to go to 2 pages, we're starting out that way. So that second page at the bottom in the footer section, again, it should still say that. Now I have it set up where I can kind of bounce back and forth. If you point at your taskbar, you can see that I have both the instructions and the assignment files open. So I can jump back and forth this way to view the instructions. So the first instruction says we want to change the margins to narrow. I have this habit of kind of coloring in as I go through if I'm doing this online, or when I have a printout, I will oftentimes put a check mark beside the number because I know then that I've accomplished that task, and if I'm not finished with it, I can come back and start at that location in my instructions. So we're going to change the margins to narrow. So pointing down on the taskbar, we'll just switch and we'll go to Layout, Margins. Narrow is going to be 1/2 inch all around. That's the same way it was with our practice lesson. And then we're going to go back to the instructions, and it says add a 1/2 point blue accent 1 page border using the double underline style, and they're really nice here to tell us that it's the 7th border in the style list. So that really helps us in, and I'm just going to like italicize that, maybe bold it so it jumps off the page at me. Now these are my instructions, it's just making me easier for me to read them. Page border. Okay, so we'll go back down and we'll pull up our working assignment, and if we go to design on the ribbon, the very last group, there's only really 2 groups here, but the last group has got watermark, page color, and page borders. So we'll click on page borders. Now they said they wanted a 1/2 point wide. It's already set to that. The color, change that from automatic to blue, and in this case the blue they want you to use is in the standard colors. If you hover over here, it's blue accent 1. When you hover in the standard colors, it's just blue. So make sure you're getting just blue. And then let me just kind of highlight this for a second. Blue accent 1. Okay, wrong one. I stand corrected. Double underline style. 7th one in. Okay, now I stand corrected here. This should be the blue accent 1 up here in the theme colors. They need to be making sure that I read that correctly, right? Then it is the 7th one down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's the double underline. You can see in the preview box that it has applied it in a preview box. And we're going to say OK, and we've got our line, and it's still going to do it for 2 pages, but eventually everything will come together to just 1 page. Now let's see what the next instruction says. Shade the paragraph below the headline with turquoise accent 3, darker 25%. Then change the font color to white, background 1. Okay. Turquoise accent 3, darker 25%. So this is the paragraph below, and we want to shade it, so we're going to go to the Home tab. The paint can spilling paint is your shading button, and I totally forgot the color, so let me go back to instructions. Turquoise accent 3, darker 25%. Okay, turquoise, here we are. I'm going to have to try to figure out which one's turquoise first. Oh, I'm in the right column. Accent 3. Is there another shade of turquoise? Here we go. There's more of a greeny colored turquoise now. Let's see here. Accent 3, darker 25%. So in that column of turquoise, it's the next to the last one. Now you can tell it's really hard to read that, so of course they want you to come over to the font while that's selected and change the font to white. First one in the theme colors. And when you click away from that, now you have what they hope to accomplish with that. I will call it a subheading for right now. This is our headline. I would call that a subheadline, I guess. Okay, let's see what the next one says. Okay, apply the perspective 3D rotation to the time management picture on the right. So, perspective left, 3D rotation to the one on the right. So, the picture first has to be selected. Picture Tools format becomes a contextual tool that we can use. And we're looking for perspective left 3D rotation. So you're going to click on the pull down list arrow for picture effects in the picture styles group. Go down to 3D rotation, perspective left. And I'm just going to hover here. There's the perspective. Front, perspective left, 3D rotation. So I'm going to click on that. I'm just click away from it for a second. That does make those look like they're matching now. That's good. Next step. Bold the date, Thursday, February 11th, in the paragraph below the pictures. I always like to color it as I go. So, going back to our project, bold Thursday, February 11th. I can see that Tuesday got bolded, but not Thursday 11th. And I want to make sure I stop, that I don't catch the space. And from my mini toolbar, I can click on bold. Then underneath that, Silver Spring Training Room, I'm going to highlight that. We're going to italicize it, and then change the spacing after the paragraph to 18 point. So I'll probably have to go up here. Now I can change some of the spacing in the paragraph group. I can add space after paragraph, but I won't know if it's 18 point or not. So the best choice for me to do is to go to, make sure I'm on the right one there, yeah, layout. And in the paragraph group you have the spacing before, spacing after. In this case they want you to add the spacing after You can click on the up arrow till you get to 18, or you can just type 18 in the box. But you can see now, let's see, it's supposed to be after or before. Let me double check. It says after, so after it is. Okay? Now, I'm going to save it because I get a little superstitious about power going out and that kind of thing and not being able to recover. Let's see here. Now, I'm going to pause this here and go ahead and get the rest of this done. Delete the text. Develop practical skills. These training sessions.